Hey everyone, today we're here to talk about this, the Sony FE 20mm 1.8 lens and why I think it's the perfect lens for family videos and photos. Hey everyone, my name is Desmond. Welcome to my channel. I make videos for any parent that's looking to take better photos, shoot better video, and make lasting memories with their families. And today we are here to talk about this little lens, the 20mm f1.8 G lens from Sony, and why I think that this is one of my all-time favorites for shooting family videos and photography. First, let's talk about the lens itself, right? The form factor, design, functionality, and features before we actually jump into how I use it for family video and photography. Well, this is a 20mm focal length, which means you're gonna get this really nice wide angle field of view. You'll be able to capture more of your background, more of the scenery in your photos and your videos, and you're also gonna be able to capture more in smaller spaces. The other thing that's great about this particular lens is it has a max aperture of 1.8. What that means is it's going to allow you to capture more light, meaning better low light performance, and also that 1.8 is going to give you better separation between your subject and your background. It's going to give you this really nice bokeh. All right, so let's talk about the build quality. The one thing kind of right off the bat is this thing is built incredibly well. I will note that this is made out of plastic. It is a high quality ABS plastic, but it would be really hard to tell. It feels good in the hand. This is 373 grams. It's about 0.8 of a pound, if that helps. So it makes this incredibly lightweight, especially compared to, this 85mm Zeiss Batis, which is relatively heavy. The other thing I will say about this lens is that this is the first and only lens that I own right now that is made out of plastic. All the other lenses I've owned for my Sony camera are in fact made out of metal. So like I said, we've got this 85mm Zeiss Batis 1.8. This is made entirely out of metal. It feels great, but I will say that even though the 20mm is a plastic construction, it feels incredibly premium. Everything clicks well, the buttons feel great, the focus ring also incredibly smooth. This is a well-built and well-designed lens, and I actually really like this new form factor. So if there are any of you that are familiar with the 24mm G Master, that is not a lens that I have. That was something I was debating between getting this and a 24mm G Master, but a lot of the reviews I did watch is that the build quality to that is very similar. Also, if you're in the market for like a 35mm, the new 35mm G Master 1.4 from Sony is also built very similar to this, and that is one of the main reasons why I bought this. Like I said, this is a really small, light, and compact lens. It's pretty perfect for the mirrorless camera setup, and also if you're using a crop sensor, this 20mm would be equivalent to your 30mm on that smaller sensor. Still an incredibly small package paired with one of the crop sensor Sony cameras. I use this with my A7R IV, and it's incredibly lightweight, very versatile, very useful. One other thing that I want to talk about in terms of features is the new focusing system. This uses a linear motor focusing system, and that means it's able to grab focus incredibly fast and accurately. It is probably one of the fastest autofocus systems I've used, and again, I'm comparing that to something a little older like this. This is my tried and true Zeiss 55mm 1.8, an incredible lens, super sharp, but it is much older than this 20mm, and this focusing system is so fast. This thing has gotten a little sluggish over the years, but again, no complaints. The other thing too is also made entirely out of metal, and that's the other difference between this and my other lenses. A couple of other things to call out. This I really love, if we can get this to focus, is the clicking aperture ring. And you can probably hear that really nice, satisfying click. I love this about this particular lens, and it reminds me of why I really like the Fuji lenses I've used in the past. So that's just really satisfying. For me, I actually leave it like this. I use the clickable aperture. I know others, you can just turn this all the way over here, you set it to auto, and that will let you adjust your aperture like you normally would with the knobs on your actual camera. I personally, really like the clicking piece. One thing you will notice as I turn it over here is this button. So you can actually turn the clicking on and off. So off gives you a very smooth rotation now. So, and the reason why you would want to declick your aperture ring is if you're shooting videos and you want to manually and smoothly adjust the aperture during your shot. Another couple buttons you'll probably notice here are autofocus, manual focus toggle button. Pretty standard when it comes to these Sony lenses, but works great, clicks great. I don't see it being an issue. The other thing is this customizable multi-function button right there. So I use that button to set my eye autofocus. So when I'm shooting, I can just hit this with my thumb. It'll lock on eye autofocus to my subject, making life a lot easier. Taking pictures of, fast moving kids. It's tough, and having that button there is really helpful. This body is also moisture and dust resistant. So that is actually going to be a really nice, just additional layer of protection you're going to want from your lenses. For me and the kids, we'll go to the beach, we'll go for hikes, we'll go out, and sometimes it'll rain. Having this additional, layer of protection does give me peace of mind. One of the things to kind of caveat is, when you hear the focal length 20mm, it does put you in that category of wide/ultra wide lenses, and the field of view is something that is harder to get used to. But I will tell you, as a parent, my shooting styles have definitely changed over the years. This 85mm Batis used to be my favorite lens. It's still an incredible lens, and I will try to use it when I can. But the challenge of using an 85mm or any telephoto lens as a parent is that you have to step way back to get a shot, especially if you want a full body shot. If you're not trying to shoot really close, tight portraits of your kids, you have to step a pretty substantial amount back away from your subject. And that, means you have to leave your kid, 25, 50 feet away from you to get a photograph. With the 20mm, I'm able to get very similar shots by being much closer to the kids. And again, I think it's a parent thing, just being so far away from the kids in case one of them falls or in case I need to get to them quickly. Using a telephoto is kind of not an option when we're out and about. I like these wider angle focal lengths, or even a zoom, a 24 to 70mm zoom lens gives me the ability to get different focal lengths, to get wide shots and telephoto shots without actually being physically too far away from my kids. And for me, it's important to be really close to them, especially when we're out in public, when we're at the zoo, when we're hiking, and trails might be dangerous. All right, so let's talk about how I actually use this lens. Let's start with video. This is my primary video lens. I use this for just about everything. First use cases, I use this for YouTube and shooting content where I'm sitting at the desk. I'm obviously not using it now. I'm using a 24 to 70mm zoom lens set on 24mm because I'm doing a review of this right now. And I will say that there is a big difference in field of view between 24 and 20mm. You are able to pick up a lot more of your background and your surrounding, especially in a small home office like this. Being able to grab a little bit more kind of sets the stage, and that's really helpful. YouTube is one of the ways I use this. The other way is I'm a work from home dad, right? It's I take Zoom calls just like everyone else. I work from this home office, and this is my primary streaming and meeting lens. Again, for the two reasons, right? It's one, it is a wide enough focal length that it grabs my background and lets people see them in my office. It's also nice because it's not this ultra tight shot of my face, which I think is kind of weird in meetings. I actually prefer having a wider angle. The other thing is, because it is an f1.8, it does give me a lot of background separation between myself and like all the stuff on my walls, my laptop, and it does produce a very polished, professional look, even during Zoom calls and Google Hangouts and those other things. I actually love the way this lens looks in meetings. And the third way I use this is for family videos. One, because this is a tiny lens. It is light, it is incredibly sharp, and again, the 20mm focal length means I can capture much more of what I'm shooting without being too far away from the kids. So for me, if we're shooting, the kids baking cookies in the kitchen, which is not a particularly large space, I don't have to be outside the kitchen shooting in to get the right shots. I can be nice and close, I can talk to the kids, I can get really nice intimate shots and videos. Same goes for, shooting in restaurants or in the living room. Again, we're kind of stuck at home. I do a lot of that shooting indoors, and having this small wide angle lens lets me get close. Doesn't mean I have to be too far away to capture more of what's happening and really give you a feeling of where these moments are happening, what's going on, who's involved, and really capture more of the story when I'm shooting these home videos. So let's talk about how I use this for photography. This is a 20mm focal length, which means that there is going to be some level of distortion as your subject gets closer to the lens. Things on the side, things near the edges are going to start to elongate. And if you've got arms and faces and things off to the side, they're going to look really stretched out. So that's one of the reasons why it's a little tough to get used to. But if you know how to use your wide angle lens, you're going to be able to get incredible results, because wide angle lenses make your subjects look smaller. And there is a place and time for that. So again, some of these photos of my daughter playing on the beach, the photo I'm trying to get here is, what the beach looks like during the pandemic. Look how empty it is. Look how wide and vast this beach is, and there's nobody around. So being able to capture moments like that, that's what you need a wide angle lens for. One of the other things you can do is you can take advantage of the distortion that happens around the edges, the sides, and the bottom of the frame as you get closer to an object or your subject. Here's an example of a photo where I use that distortion to my advantage to really frame up and drive attention to the subject, which is my daughter on this wooden walkway. One thing I will quickly mention is the minimum focus distance for this is 7.5 inches, which is great. So you could get pretty close to your subject if you want to do like macro shots or get really close, cool photos of like a stuffed animal or one of your kids' playthings, or, get a shot of the inside of a playhouse, or, any of those types of shots where you want to get pretty close, but still be able to capture a lot of what's happening around. One thing to keep in mind when you're considering this lens is that $700 to $800 price tag. Does it fit the needs of your photography, videography, and then your family and how you like to shoot? For me, I use this for everything, from family videos to Zoom calls to streaming to YouTube content to also shooting content for my day job. So I actually get a lot of use. I use this at least a few times a week. And then when it comes to photography, it is a great lens to have in the bag to capture those cool landscape shots, ultra wide environmental portraits. I like the effect that it gives me in certain photographs. This is not my primary photograph lens, but this is my main video lens, and I get a ton of use out of it. So for me, it was totally worth it. So if you're really considering this lens, let me know in the comments. What are you excited about? What do you plan to use this for? I really love this thing. I think it's done a great job at helping me step up my home videos and the cinematic look and feel of the memories that I'm capturing of the family. All right, well, thank you for watching. If you like this content, please hit that like button. Definitely subscribe. I will be putting out videos at least once a week. Thank you so much for watching.